How's it hanging, dudes? My name is Shawn, and today we have another City Skylines 2.5 podcast with my guest, city planner Mismanages. So
Hey, yo, everybody.
how's it going, man?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good, bro. So I ask this question a lot when I first start. Because the City Skylines too. We don't always talk about City Skylines too, but we talk about it for the most part of the podcast. And so naturally, the first kind of question is, now that it's out. What's your favorite thing or most hated thing about City Skylines 2?
Oh,
Before we get into exactly why you're so unique of a content creator.
sure. So my favorite thing about City Skylines 2, highly controversial, is I love motion blur. Yep, fight me about it, but I love motion blur. Maybe not depth of field, but motion blur for your videos and when you're driving around in a car. It's like GTA has just come to City Skylines 2. So that's my favorite thing. My least favorite thing is everything else. The game sucks.
And when you say sucks, does it, on a scale of, suckage to vacuum cleaner, where does it fall?
You know how a vacuum cleaner can blow and suck? Like based on its setting, this game does both.
Oh man. So look, it's like a little preview into what kind of content he creates. You do make a lot of unique content, and just some of the content that I've consumed of yours on YouTube, I found incredibly unique, and it's so hilarious. I've shared you quite frequently on my channel, I think. And so tell us a bit about what kind of content that you create. Because if you haven't seen his content, guys, you wouldn't understand what what I'm saying is it's unique, it's hilarious, and I'd rather you explain your own content than me try to explain it to you.
Fair enough. Well, my YouTube content is a bit different than, say, my TikTok content, but my YouTube content is part of its academic and parts news, which is pretty stock standard, you'd think. So, urban planning, academia. But the other side is I play city skylines like it's country skylines. I just use city skylines as the tool to slander the shit out of countries' urban planning, law, core, and just their lifestyles, basically. But in a way that's humorous, but isn't too derogatory. Like, most people come back and say, oh, how accurate. Bro's accurate. 100% spot on.
It's culturally
So that's
funny,
my
yeah.
intention. Yeah. Culturally funny to them. Woke snowflakes, they all pull their britches up a bit too high and have a bit of a go. But 99% of the time, they absolutely love the fact that their country has been noticed, especially small countries like Latvia and Lithuania, who are never seen in a video. I've built their cities in City Skylines. So I've built more than 110 cities in City Skylines so far, one and two for their videos to slander their countries.
Do you ever like make a video? Ever made a video like just destroying your own hometown?
Yes, I have destroyed my hometown, which is Australia. So I do a lot of Australia core too, where I bag out bogans, which are like the Australian rednecks. So they're like the main character in my videos. So they go quite well. So definitely bag out Australia. I love going after Americans, but more so than anything, I love Europeans. I don't know, there's just something about Europe that I love. It's like you can drive 2 hours and hear five different languages. And it's just great fun to point out these differences. The other thing I love doing is crazy infrastructure projects that go quite well. Where the last one I did was a giant roundabout has been built on top of Germany, and all the exits go to different parts of Europe. But poor Germany had to be sacrificed for a giant European roundabout. Another one I did was build a highway from Australia to Tokyo that
Yeah, I see.
bypasses
Yeah,
all the islands.
I've seen that. Yeah,
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 so
that's
crazy
funny.
infrastructure projects. Yeah, or the world's largest Walmart parking lot with more than 70,000 parking spaces. But the EV parking for electric vehicles is all the way at the back. So, yep, charge back there, suckers.
Dude, a great idea for you to be to recreate GeoGuessr in City Skylines 2 or 1 or whatever. If you know what
Yeah,
GeoGuessr
yeah,
is, GeoGuessr
yeah.
is such a
I've done
meme.
that. I've done that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
done
you
that
have,
on a
you
few
have.
videos.
Oh, you have.
Yeah,
Oh
I've
my
done that.
God, yeah. See,
Yep.
guys, look, I'm behind his TikTok game, which is actually was actually a reference to another question I had jotted down. A lot of people people might I know him just from YouTube, and then I just recently got turned on to the whole TikTok side of things. Like I'm an old man, like I know it exists, but I treat it like it's it's the plague, so it's he's tremendous. He's huge in a Donald Trump voice. It's wild, and a lot of that it just goes to show how much content you've done. Like that's just an idea I had. Naturally, you've already done it. It's amazing. It's great, dude. So tell us about the
Yeah,
TikTok game.
thanks.
Like what's going on with that?
Well, I keep my TikTok and YouTube separate for a reason. My YouTube, I want to focus on the academic urban planning side with some humor and keep it more conservative, like it's the Republican Party. But on my TikTok, it it's not even like the Democrats. It's just like the libertarians have been set free on the world, and my TikTok is the Wild West where well, my top three videos are I dump a giant tsunami on Indonesia,
Mm.
poor Indonesia, who've previously had a tsunami dropped on them, and link it to the Willow Project in America, that this is the consequence of America's Willow Project on random Jakarta. And people just like, well, what did Jakarta do? We've done nothing wrong. Why'd you pick on us? But it was hilarious. And like, we're talking millions upon millions upon millions of views for this video. So it's not like it was all bad. People loved it. I've also taken the pyramids of Giza in Egypt and built parking lots up the side of it, and then a John Denver highway across the three pyramids under
Jesus.
under the slogan, "What if America had colonized Europe? Sorry, what if America had colonized Egypt and not the British?" So, of course, America are going to put parking lots on everything. And the third biggest one that I have is I took the Notre Dame in Paris when they burnt down. And what if Americans decided to redo the construction of the Notre Dame and not the French? And it basically ends up with a drive-through confessional through
So you guys look, is TikTok you care if I link your TikTok in the description?
Oh, you can. Go
Okay,
nuts.
okay, cool, okay, cool. 'Cause I'll put that in the description for because there's a lot of people because YouTube a lot of people on YouTube who are terminally on YouTube. They don't go anywhere else, and so you guys check that stuff out, dude. It's oh my God, I'm probably gonna go binge it actually because like you're been slowly convincing me of these TikTok shenanigans you keep talking about, and
Yeah,
yeah, I wonder about just reposting my shorts from YouTube onto TikTok to get me started, and then going from there maybe.
there's issues with YouTube Shorts that they can only be 59 seconds long, whereas most of my TikToks are between 1 minute and 1 minute 30, so they can't go on YouTube Shorts. They've got to be edited heavily, which
Hmm.
takes away a lot of the jokes. Plus, YouTube Shorts is just bizarre. It's yeah, there's a saying on TikTok that when someone makes a video that's so cringe, the first thing you type is this should be on YouTube Shorts or Instagram Reels. That's like the running joke. But YouTube definitely has its place. Like the videos that I make about urban planning academia, as if they would ever do well on TikTok. So there's a place for everything. So I'm
Yeah.
glad that they exist, the two different platforms.
Well, yeah, and also TikTok just naturally doesn't have long form content built into it, even if there are half a minute longer than what YouTube Shorts are. There's still short form content. So if you want, for example, a podcast, or you want, a fully fledged video, stuff like that, it's yeah, everything has its place, and YouTube is a behemoth. It's not going nowhere, and TikTok is carved its own. It's a giant scar into the the meat of the social media pie.
Yeah.
It's carved a giant slice for sure. And so I
And
go
it's
ahead.
not all Gen Z. I have a large Gen X and above 55 viewership. I'm shocked. Like to have 6% people over 55, and I have 38% female audience on my TikTok out of how like that's phenomenal. I'm so thankful and grateful for that. So it's it's City Skylines, but for everybody. You don't need to play the game or even know the game to see your country on there get slandered.
I wonder though, because sometimes um analytics are skewed sometimes because how many of those people who are age 55, that's they've made their accounts just for their grandkids to use, or something like that.
Yeah, it's
So
possible.
I'm sure there's a few.
Yeah,
I wish there's a way you could just sparse out which ones are which. That way you can get like a
yeah,
real, like, oh, this is, that makes sense.
yeah.
So I don't know, but
Well, the benefit of TikTok for anyone that wants to watch it, you don't need an account. All you need to do is type in City Skylines plus TikTok into Google, and you can just watch the videos from a Chrome browser. It doesn't require you to go to TikTok to watch them.
mm, true. That's true. Yeah, that's actually how I've seen some of your TikToks because I don't have an
Yeah,
account.
so
Yeah, yeah.
people who have xenophobia with China and all that, just watch them on Chrome. You don't have to make an account if you're worried about um, the Chinese side of it, or your work or your workplace not allowing you on it.
Right, right. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Dude, okay, so, so to kind of segue a little bit, uh, what do you think about like the death of the Steam Workshop?
Oh, horrific. I'm not looking forward to it. I still purchased my game on Steam, City Skylines 2, just
Yeah.
out of default, like it was
Mm-hmm.
how I do
It's
things,
muscle memory, yeah.
even though, yeah, muscle memory. I still think that people will go elsewhere, or maybe will. I don't think you can put things on Steam without them approving it. I don't know. I'm worried about the microtransactions of mods and assets coming our way, like EA did with The Sims.
Yeah. Well, they said that it'll be free, but that doesn't mean things, inside won't be, and then also you're going to have like everybody who's going to want to, it's like there's only going to be so many, like I'm sure there's going to be a barrier for entry for mod creators on Paradox. There has
Yeah,
to be, because like everything's like is a gatekeep with the Colossal Order, it seems like. So it's so how many people are going to be allowed to just freely post assets from in game, and how many people are actually going to be allowed to create mods? That is all yet to be, I would
yeah,
like it if it was like Steam, anybody could just do it. Like the tools are there provided by the developer. Okay, let's go ahead and make our stuff. Well, if they put like a barrier of entry, I'm not saying they will, but I mean, if they're trying to recapture the market share of of accessories for games, which are mods, then that's a large market share of not just like it's a whole market of, like I could go to a modder and be like, hey, I really need these billboards and these graphics made for my city, man. Could I pay you $50 to make this for me? And a lot of them would probably be gladly to do that, or they'd give you a price, or what do y'all negotiate? And now I feel
yeah,
like there's only going to be, well, these are our partnered mod creators, and if you want something made specific, then it has to be approved. Like, so you're going to see people like Biffa and City Planner Play, all these people have all this unique stuff and custom stuff that you're not going to be able to have access to. I'm afraid that's going to be the reality, and we're going to be stuck
mm,
with just everything else that they may or may not. And plus, everybody, like people who mod on City Skylines, it's a huge community, and that's what's kept City Skylines 1 going for so many years, is the modding scene. Like there was a point where there was nothing that they could have gave us as a DLC up until recently that we couldn't have
yeah.
accomplished with a mod.
Yeah, I have some huge controversial issues around modding and modders for City Skylines and 2. I'm like that English teacher that will pull apart the words that you use to try and find hidden meaning. Like, for example, Paradox in their press statement said, at this point of time or at the moment, we do not plan on charging you. So at this point of time, that doesn't mean ever. It just means it
Right.
could happen. So they never actually said it's free. They just said for now it's free. If you read exactly what they said and read between their lines from the corporate bullshit they're talking about. But and then you're right about modders are probably going to have to gatekeep stuff because they're under NDA to solely work for Paradox. But let's hope not. But I'm on the modders side with this because as a content creator who makes money, and plenty of other content creators out there who make squillions of dollars off using free mods and free assets from Steam Workshop and not diverting any of that content creator monetization back to the content creators and asset makers has been disgusting for City Skylines 1. So you could probably pull up any City Skylines 1 content creator video from anyone huge and find assets and mods in that video that are used. Have they gone back and paid for those, despite their video making hundreds, thousands of dollars? Have they gone back to Steam and bought these people coffees or given money through Patreon? So modders deserve to be paid, but I'm not too sure what model we should be using. I would love a subscription model from Paradox, like $5 a month gives you unlimited access to all mods and assets, something like that.
Yeah,
What do you think?
there should be. I feel like there shouldn't just be one route. There should be multiple outlets for that. There should be 100% sponsored mod creators. There just should be. Whether if it's not a sponsorship, then they should just be hired on, plainly, or it should be mandatory of maybe a subscription fee, but also it should also be, what is it called? Like if you're commission, like if they want to do a private commission, they shouldn't be, held back by, oh well, we've signed this agreement and we have to whatever, you know what I mean? So it's like, because again, me as a red-blooded American, it's like it should be a free market. It should be a free market. That's what's allowed people to, and plus on top of that, it's like people who want to get into modding, you have to start somewhere, and if there's already a barrier to entry, then how do you even start? How do you even, so I don't know. I feel like there should be a subscription based service if you want to have access to these. Like if you want to make your mods private and you have to make this subscription, then you have to do that, right?
Yeah.
So and you need to do that for yourself. But somebody else who just does it on the side and wants to make $500 to make this particular mod for something like that, and just wants to give it to everybody for free after that, then who's to say he shouldn't be able to do that too? So I feel like there's plenty of room for all of that to be had, but now we can't because Paradox. Like the thing is, man, they say that they had this whole thing about how they were. I'm getting a little bit of echo from your mic. It's kind of weird. Maybe that's me.
Is it still coming through?
It's not so bad. Okay, no, actually, it's not at all now. okay, so what I'm trying to say is, Paradox is like now we can't do that, right? So Paradox put out this whole thing about how Colossal Order said, "Well, we're going to be loyal. We value loyalty, and we want you to we want to be transparent and forthright. We always value that," or something like that. And it's like, y'all want to be transparent, and upfront about everything after you've already said that you're going to switch things up and make things change, and now we're going to Paradox mods where we don't know if we're going to have to pay money for real or not, and then we got all this stuff happening, and it's like nobody's being transparent about anything. You don't really value transparency because we don't really know what's going on. Why can't you just tell us what's going to happen? They'll say, well, we're going to, and I trust that they will, but it's like if you're being transparent, just be transparent about the whole thing. And dude, it's just going to be. I feel like Steam is such a pillar of the community. I don't know how else to explain it. And now everybody's going to be forced to go to Paradox. It's like, why, if they're saying that, oh, we're protecting, so everybody can have access to mods. Well, why can't it just be console players have to use Paradox? Why can't PC players have both? Why can't you also allow Steam to, maybe they have to put barriers or entry. Maybe you have to have subscriptions. Maybe you have to have, link your Paradox account for that mod to work or something. Like there's ways that they can integrate that. There's other games who do it, on Steam right now. It's literally a way for them to corner that market for themselves and maybe potentially get microtransactions or create their own potential market themselves. It just reeks of I don't know if there's Colossal or Paradox, but it just reeks of greed because it's you're not being transparent. You're like, that's the reason why you want to do it. It's not so everybody can have mods. Everybody can still have mods, and there can also still be Steam. Like those two things aren't mutually exclusive. You know what I mean? Like you can have both. You know what I mean? It's like You know what I mean? Like I don't know. It's just like if you would be a modder, you have to go through Paradox first, and then you can put your mods on Steam. Like why? That's such an easy thing to do. So many other games do it. It's just they don't want to. They don't want to give mods to everybody. They just want to have all the mods go through their channel, through their
Yeah,
media, and that's not being transparent. They say they're transparent all the time, and that's just I've lost so much faith in Colossal Order. I'll still love City Skyline. I mean, and City Skylines 2, I'm sure in a year or two is going to be an awesome game too. It's a alpha right now, beta. I'm going to be honest, but that being said, I mean, look how long City Skylines one gone. This community is huge. It will last forever. For as long as whatever. The first one did what 9 years, something like that. So as long as they don't keep shooting themselves in the foot, the game will continue to get better. It's just this whole launch, man. This game could have been so much more. I just wish I would have fly on the wall at Colossal Order and Paradox and just like, what is happening? When Colossal Order sat down to sign
yeah.
their contract with Paradox, well, we will have this done by this date. What in the hell were they thinking?
I watched an interesting video. I can't remember who it was by, who went through Paradox's financials and found that the Lamplighter game. Do they have a game called Lamplighter? Something similar to that. That flopped hard, and they
Mm,
weren't expecting that to flop hard so hard, and ended up losing them millions and millions of dollars. That
damn,
I I personally think that then Paradox went back to Colossus and said, "We want it out sooner. We need it out sooner."
that's just insane, man. It's just wild. But the thing is, like, they're talking about transparency. Why not just allow? Why not let us in on that? You talk about transparency, but yet you let us know everything at the last minute, and then some things too late. You know what I mean? And then you issue refunds, and then the game's pushed back, and then the game's not as good as it should be. And then what 16,000 players on Steam, and what millions of copies sold? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's wild, man.
Um,
It's wild.
but it's just fallen the same way of every other game that's been released lately that's just had major issues upon release. It's like Xbox AAA titles can't be released these days without major faults. It's just the
Yeah.
gaming industry needs to stop focusing on corporate greed and focus more on players. But
It's like it all started with
capitalists.
No Man's Sky back in the day. No Man's Sky flopped
Yeah,
so hard, and then it came back. It's bounced back, but it needed those 3-4 years of development to do that, and so it's like okay, and then what Cyberpunk or Jurassic World Evolution,
yes,
and then Cyberpunk, and then there's so many of them, dude. Oh my goodness.
yeah. Well, the issue seems to be is that games now are digital downloads, which means that they can release it at beta level and then patch it as they go, as opposed to old school days where when it came on a CD or whatever GameCubes were on and cartridges, that was the game. It had to be 100% right. So they stayed longer in development to allow that game to get to its fully fledged form because there was no going back.
Right.
Whereas these days you can just release, oh yeah, let's just release university based code, put it out there, and then we'll fix it up as actual programmers tell us what's wrong.
Right. Right.
Sorry,
Exactly.
sorry, Colossal Order.
Yeah,
Made
dude.
you just sound like you've just graduated from uni.
Dude, I just don't. I just, it's crazy to me. But you spoke of controversy. I've been in my fair share of controversy myself with City Skylines and some creators. Most people have been completely awesome, but there's been a couple people who's just been egotistical maniacs, and it's wild. So I'm just curious. Have you faced or gone through anything like that yourself?
Um, I don't spend a lot of time around City Skylines content creators. Like, I don't use Discord. I know we're having this chat on here, but I downloaded it just for this,
Hmm.
solely because I don't want to deal with toxicity when it comes to forums. It's taking away from my grades, uh, punishing my education, my friends, my family, just spending too much time talking about City Skylines toxicity, just like on Facebook forums, people not liking the game, and then bagging out people who have a differing opinion. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, whether they don't like the game or love the game. Just
Hmm.
don't hate on them for that. Um, Controversy with other creators, not so much, but I got a funny feeling that I think Colossal Order have made me untouchable, that I do too many things that are not coming from their mission statement or their business mission statement, because I slander countries, and that can be
Oh,
perceived as being not woke enough for them, I
oh yeah,
guess.
because you're huge on TikTok,
Um,
and you didn't get early access, did you?
no, I can't see how I'm the second largest City Skylines content creator on TikTok, like 150 something thousand followers, and they didn't reach out to me. Not big on YouTube, as you will see, but there are other TikTokers with early access. Um, I also thought if I did get it, I'll turn it down because I don't want to be confined to an NDA of certain things you can and cannot say, which has been proven that there were things they could say and couldn't say,
Mm-hmm.
especially about performance. I don't like being muzzled, especially consider I've always been honest with my fan base about, I'm going to rip on your country, so expect it. If I rip on your country, it's not because I don't like your country. It's
Right.
because I've ripped on every country. You're not immune.
Right. Right. It's not personal. It's just
No,
Yeah.
it's not
Yeah.
personal. It's just
Exactly.
your country's next. Your country came next up on the roulette.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Man, people are just way too thin-skinned these days. Just so thin-skinned, and nobody can't. It's like like when
Yeah,
when somebody came to copyright strike my video, they were like, you know, you didn't ask permission, nor would I have given it to you, and stuff like that. It's like, bro, just chill out. You could just ask me to take it down. It's not a big deal. Why we rush to craziness when most problems can be solved by like a shake of the hand. You know what I mean? And hey, let's talk about that.
exactly.
You know, and it's not much more simple than that. It really isn't. It really
Yeah.
is not.
So two of the most controversial things that I've done with City Skylines, which I think are the two main reasons why Colossal Order, and there's no way in hell they have not seen these videos, which would have put me on a blacklist, like a no-fly zone sort of list at Colossal Order. And one, to a video of 2.6 million people watched it, which tells me they've seen it, because there's no way they would not have seen it. And that's where the caption of the video is making the Suez Canal easier for ships. And by doing so, I just removed the Middle East from a map in City Skylines. Remove the Middle East. Just cleared it out. So, because when the Evergreen ship got stuck, that's the satire behind it. Well, if the Evergreen ship is going to get stuck in the Suez Canal, let's just widen the whole strait. And by doing so, we've got to wipe out some countries to do so.
Right.
So, yeah, stop complaining about it being too narrow, because if you want it wider, then bye bye Yemen, bye bye Saudi Arabia. So I did that to 6,000 people in comments going berserk.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Oh
And
man. Like
and the
this
three, yeah, no way Colossal Order didn't see that to put me on a blacklist.
yeah, but also it's like
So
it just couldn't possibly just be a joke just for the sake of having a joke, you know. It's like it's like it's gotta be like,
yeah,
how dare he? You know, the audacity. It's like for
yeah,
what? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what? I mean, people make worse jokes just between friends sitting on a couch playing video games. You know what I mean? Like,
yep.
dude,
Like, I'm
it's
not
wild,
stupid. I'm
man.
not going to say I'm not going to say the N word in the video. I have no right to say that. So I know my limits. I'm not stupid.
Well, yeah, of
But
course, of course. I mean, that goes stuff like that goes without saying. We're talking about like we're talking about humor for the sake of it being humor. Like you're allowed to make light of bad situations or dark things in life. That's how you get over things. That's how you cope with things. And you're okay with not liking that version of coping. Uh, but that doesn't make it not a valid response or reflection or creation if you make content, for example.
yeah,
I don't know, man.
yeah.
People seem to be
And
wild.
the second thing that I think that put me on their blacklist early on was a highway from Sydney, Australia, or from Australia to Tokyo that that had a pit stop on this highway across the ocean in the Philippines, so white Aussies can pick themselves up Filipino brides. Which It's just like
Yeah, no,
to
but
to millions and millions and millions of people watching it and shared 30,000 times with reposts. So Colossal have seen it. So I'm on this blacklist for sure. I don't care as long as
yeah.
they don't give me a cease and desists because people are not telling me off about this one. They thought it was hilarious. It said that is so true. Why do white Aussies keep coming over here and stealing our good women?
And it's like it's down to earth humor. It's humor that people that most people have day to day, and it's not like something that's meant to be taken like super serious, super literal. And like, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna go commit a crime against that person for taking that late? No, you're making that you're it's a hyperbole. It's it's an over exaggeration. It's not meant to be taken literal. It's a farce. It's yes, there's truth to it, but most funny things have some truth to it. You know what I mean? Like there's it's and
Yeah.
if there is no truth to it, it's mostly just some sort of cultural stereotype that you make a funny play on. So for example, I have a little bit of Indian Native American for
Yep.
so I have quite a bit of that in me, and in summertime, if I'm out a lot in the sun, it's obvious, and it's hard. Most of the time I just put white on the paper because of course, white privilege, right? You gotta get by or somehow. But
Okay.
a large portion of my bloodline is Native American, and when I was at work, a lot of my buddies, we would just make jokes about each other just because we love each other. I don't really mean what I say about him. He does, but there's a song like "I Will Walk 500 Miles," and there's a
Yeah.
song, and if you know anything about American history, there's a Trail of Tears where uh, President Andrew Jackson, which is our version of Hitler, rounded up millions and millions and millions of Native Americans. And the Congress told him he wasn't allowed to do it. He said, "I'm doing it anyway," and marched them to the desert and just said, you can live here now." And people who used to live in
Damn.
swamps and forests, now have to live they walked, babies and everything had to walk across America. You know how large America is? You just walk
Yeah.
across America from the East Coast to the desert. That's insane. And it was called the Trail of Tears,
Wow.
and millions and millions and millions of Native Americans died, and most of them had already died out from, um, you know, different fevers, smallpox, stuff like that. But um, but this is all land that was taken from them. Blah blah. Blah. So he would chant this song to me. I would walk 500 miles, just making fun of the fact that my ancestors had to go through that. You know what I mean? And
Right.
I
Yeah.
never took it
Yeah.
personally because he didn't mean it personally. He did not really hate Native American. You know what I mean? He would give you this. He
Hmm.
would give me and my brother the shirt off his back. You know what I mean? Like you know what I'm saying? So it's not like he really
Yep.
meant that. And people are so terminally online that it's
Yeah.
I hate that you had to go through that. I'm sorry.
No, that's the problem, and that's exactly what I've been trying to fix in my life is not be so chronically online. Like you can be online, but you can also be chronically online for the same amount of time.
Hmm.
So part of that was that's why I do not have a Discord server for what is a huge fan base. It's just not. It would be the Wild West. It's
Well,
just
I mean,
I don't want to
you
police it.
could put. You shouldn't have to police it. You just shouldn't have to do that. If I was you, it would be laissez-faire. You shouldn't have to police it. I would be like general rules. Like if you have moderators, like if like racial slurs or that are meant to be derogatory and mean not for without context, stuff like that. Like just
Yeah.
put that, and then that allows your moderators to ban people, stuff like that, and then there you go, and then it is what it is, and then just put your
Yeah.
hands off. Everything else is fine. Everything else is fine. You know. But and you can have the disclaimer when people press welcome, like this is 18 plus server. This is what you will see. You have a chance of if you are under take this upon yourself, and then that right there, you're done. You're done. You don't have to do nothing.
It would
You know.
it would definitely be an 18 plus server. It would have to be just
Yeah.
based on um, yeah.
Yeah. I
And
mean.
really, when you look at Reddit, Reddit should be R18 if you think about it for most things. A lot of even City Skylines posts, I've seen some pretty silly posts on there sometimes that are just like, wow, I can't believe that's still up. Especially like sexist and racist ones, like wow.
Yeah.
So if they're still up, yeah.
And you can also
Some blatant ones.
you can put like a private server in your Discord and like have an incentive of like if as long as you follow our one rule, eventually you can put a bot in there, you gain points, and eventually you'll gain access to this private Discord server where that rule is now gone. You know what I mean? And you can do whatever you want as long as
Yeah.
it's inside that server. As soon as you're not, like you're banned, kicked, gone.
Yeah.
So it's
It's
like,
on the agenda. It's what will happen at some point, maybe, just not now.
yeah, yeah. No, I mean,
I understand
I'm just saying
Discord is good.
it's possible, but with your style of content and fan base, probably would have to definitely have that at least that one barrier to entry.
Yeah, and I've seen some of my friends who are content creators who have half the size or a third the size of a fan base that I have, that when they opened a Discord, they were swamped with
Yeah,
like thousands of people joining like every half an hour. And when they announced it, and it became too big that some of them are like crying to me, like, what do I do? What do I do with all of this?
yeah.
And yes, my answer to them was bots and moderators. But they didn't have it all set up in time. So that it was the Wild West, and there was just too much nasty bullying going on.
Yeah, man. But it's also like, I was thinking about this the other day, like with my son. Like I let him watch certain YouTube stuff, and I've allowed him to train his own algorithm, and so a lot of it's fairly innocent. You know what I mean? Because it's his algorithm. He's not getting. I don't allow him to be suggested a bunch of crap. I'll sit over his shoulder, and then so
Yep.
in that sense, some extra screen time is okay because I know that I can. He's okay, and plus also you have to learn something somehow, and that's okay. You can't shield your kid from everything because then they're not gonna know anything. But I'm like, how much of this online, it will some kids it seems like who didn't have as much online when they were younger, but now they have it so much, tend to have warped their brain. I wonder if kids who start out with it for the course of their life will probably be a lot thicker skinned, almost sociopathic. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
numb to to everything, which may have its ups and downs. But then I'm thinking like my buddy is over here going to school and he's answering all of his questions with chat GPT, and
Mm.
I'm like, bro, I mean, like you're going to school to be a physicist. I mean, even if you're just like a low
Yeah.
whatever, just a lab assistant, whatever.
Yeah.
You need to figure out these problems on your own. That way, whenever you're faced with a problem at work, you can actually solve that problem because you won't have Chat GPT. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And he was
There,
like,
there,
yeah, man, but I just gotta get this degree, and I'm like, bro. So I wonder if my kid's
there will
gonna,
be a point.
mm,
There will be a point where AI will play city skylines for us and make videos that you won't have to do anything. For
oh, for sure.
sure, it will happen.
Oh yeah.
Like maybe not the next 2-3 years, but 2030, AI will be playing video games for us and making content, or even playing video games for us so we can just watch it play.
Yeah, I'm just afraid that, the easy access to all the information is like if my son goes to school, he'll have to learn how to do something. But why would he need to learn how to do that when he can just Google it or Chat GPT it? You know what I mean? And then give him the answer, and then he gets
Yeah,
the greatest. Like I hope that doesn't like. I don't know if you ever seen the movie Idiocracy.
yeah.
Uh,
I know the word. I don't know it's a movie.
it's a great movie, and it's essentially the fall of mankind. Like we start out with like scientists and blah 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 blah, and like the dumbest person alive, who's a pizza delivery guy, kind of like Futurama
Ah,
style, but he gets frozen in
yeah.
time, with this hooker who's still afraid of her pimp in the future. But anyway, they get lost translated in time, and the thing is everything got so automated, everything got so done on its own that people forgot how to do things. So when the power plant blew
Mm.
up, nobody knew how to fix it, nobody knew how to make a new one. And then like tech, like they before text language was even out, they had coined that in the movie, and like was text like everything was text language that people that like these this dumb person from 2001 who is now in the year 3000 or whatever is now the smartest person on the planet. And they were like they have this thing called like Gatorade, and it has electrolytes, and they were watering their plants with it because if we drink it, it's got to be good for the plants. Well, all the crops are dying, and the automated machines couldn't get any crops to feed the people. And so the guy goes, "Hey, maybe we should put some water on the plant." And and maybe that will grow it. And instead of this Gatorade stuff, and they were like, "You want us to put the stuff in the toilet bowl on the plants?" And they were like, "We gotta torture this guy in the arena. He's crazy. He's a witch."
Oh wow! I think I'm gonna look this movie up. It
Dude,
looks
this
pretty
movie is
cool.
it's I'm telling you, I'm afraid for our future. It's the parallels are insane. I mean, humans are resilient. I feel like we'll adapt. Overcome, of course. But man, it's
Yeah,
wild. It's a great movie. It's a very on point for this conversation.
yeah. Well, how bad is this that I use TikTok as a search engine more than I use Google?
Oh, yeah, that's rough.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's
because
rough.
it gives you relatable, non-funded answers as opposed to Google prioritizing who pays for the top ranks.
Oh my god.
So you're more likely to get a human-related answer from someone like you. So say you want to say, what's the best restaurant in my area? Or where should I go eat tonight? Or where's a Chinese place
There's probably
in
somebody made a
Sydney,
TikTok about
Australia?
it.
That's right. There'll be people who have made TikToks from places they've gone to who unabashedly who have put an honest review out as opposed to who's paid for it to rank top of Google. So I prefer to use TikTok as a search engine than Google.
Right, right, right. Yeah, yeah, makes sense, makes sense. But no, yeah, yeah. Search, you'll like that movie. So what other
Yeah,
games
sounds
do you
good. I'll
play
check it out.
besides like City Skylines? Do you play any other kind of games at all?
I sit in two different camps. I sit in the simulation camp. I'll just open my Steam because someone actually commented on one of my videos where I left up my Steam uh, library, and they're like, "Whoa, that's weird." Yeah, so my Steam one is just City Skylines, Planet Zoo, Roller Coaster, The Sims 4, and Transport. What's that? Transport Fever one? That was
Yeah,
a
yeah.
that was an average. That was an average game. Wasn't a huge fan of that.
Dude, I love Planet Coaster.
Um, yeah, I loved Planet Coaster too. I haven't played it in a while though. And then like I left my Xbox up behind it, and people were thinking because I play City Skylines, that was right for me. The Sims, Planet Coaster, and all that sort of stuff. And then they saw my library on Xbox behind it, which was Assassin's Creed, Borderlands 3, South Park, Candy Crush, Far Cry 6, Grand Theft Auto Online, Watch Dogs Legions, Animal Royale, South Park, and Sea of Thieves. And they're like, wow, maybe you do need to get offline and go get a girlfriend.
No, man, it's like people like before games and stuff. People played, people still do, but people played chess like religiously. People, sit around and had book clubs religiously. People had plenty of hobbies that wasted countless hours of time. I mean, that's like humans are innate for play as much as hunt and gather. I mean,
Yeah.
play is a big factor in human development, and no matter how old you are, you always like before my grandmother died, she still had this old handheld blackjack game that she had that she kept in her pocket, and she kept and the thing was so faded it ran like probably like 1 kilobyte of power. I don't know. Must have been the simplest thing ever. It was so
Wow.
ugly. But she would just sit there and play it all the time. Like, I mean, I mean, so what? I mean, what else she's supposed to do right now? You know what I mean? Like my buddy says people like that says to him a lot. Like, oh, you should play games so much. You should focus more on your school, focus more on your work. Blah blah blah. It's like if you're making your grades and you're going to work, then whatever you do in your free time, everybody else can fuck off, right? I mean, who cares?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, who
Yeah.
cares?
That's right. It's your own personal life. I choose to sacrifice sleep for gaming.
Yeah,
That's where I find the time. But to be honest, I haven't played City Skylines as a fan or as a player in a long time, or just for fun. Because content creation, people don't realize how long it takes to make a video.
hmm
That once you've finished playing the game to make that video, you're too drained to focus on a passion project in the game,
yeah,
and you choose to play something else like Assassin's Creed because it's so different from City Skylines that you want something different to play. Or you'll go watch Netflix or go hang out with your friends. So content creation as a full-time hobby, full-time job, or whatever people do can be so draining that City Skylines is no longer a hobby
Yeah.
or a passion.
Yeah, because a lot of people don't understand. Like when they're playing it, they play the game like laissez-faire. They don't occur to them how they're playing the game, what they're doing. Like when you're creating content, you gotta be worrying about, okay, is my camera still? Am I at a good angle? Does this gonna look
Yeah.
right for recording? Am I gonna record this in chunks, or am I gonna record the whole thing back to back? Do I have a script prepared, or am I gonna record in the game? How's that all gonna work? And then, oh God, what if I forgot where my timestamps were, where everything happens at? Now I gotta watch 2 hours of footage to find a 3 second clip. Now that's
Yep.
that's 45 minutes of your time gone skimming through 2 hours of footage, and then remembering all these other things that you need back there, and but you have to keep going to find this one thing, and you keep getting stuck. It's like, and then that's it's hours of footage that don't even make
Mm,
it into the final cut. And before
that's
the
right.
game, like I haven't made that much content for the game because obviously I need a new graphics card really to get good footage, and then on top of that, the algorithm just
Mm,
kicked me in the balls, and I gotta get it back in order. But that being said,
yep.
before I didn't really have I could just get gameplay from Colossal Order. They gave it out, so and then I would
Mm,
use that and then put overlays and whatever I needed to say, and I would edit the video as I normally do. I could probably sit down
yep.
and from script to final edit if I really, really, really just cranked hard and railed an Adderall and got it done. I could do it probably in maybe 4 or 5 hours if I'm just steady hard working,
Yeah.
no stop. But now if you add game like recording the gameplay and thinking I'll do this, you're probably it's a 2 day escapade just to get it, and that's if you keep the
Mm,
inspiration to go.
yeah. A 1 minute TikTok takes me about 8 hours because people might not understand the amount of research that needs to go into a video and scripting before you
Mm-hmm.
even load the game, first of all, and then 2 hours of editing after you finish the game.
Yeah.
But a YouTube long format video, so say one of the academic ones that I'm doing, takes a week, like a couple of hours every day for the week. So I'm very thankful for the people that watch them and leave comments and engage with it because they may not know that it has taken 50 hours to make. They
Yeah.
might just think, oh yeah, hit press play on the game, hit start on the mic. We're not streamers. We're content creators. Very different. Very,
Yeah,
very
yeah.
different.
It's it's like streaming is like a marathon sprint. You're just constantly going, and you're
Yep.
just interacting with words.
It's addictive.
It's when you're creating, you're creating, you know. Not to say that streaming is an art, because there's people like Dr. Disrespect and stuff like that who it
Yeah.
is a 100% an art. But when you're creating, you're crafting something. It's like if before the internet you was in your wood shop, which some people still do, whittling a new wooden feature of something for your kid to play with or something like that. You know what I mean? Like
Mm.
it's you're creating something. It's a creation, and that creation could potentially make you money. And it's also like with this channel right now, I have City Skylines channel. It's like when the views are down, it's like, man, when you put this much effort into a video just for you to go drop from 3-4K views a video to 200, it's like, man, that's
Yeah.
and everybody's like, well, hey, where's your next video? Where's your next video? Like, dude, there's 300 of y'all when there was 5,000 of y'all, and you're like, where's my motivation? It's like it's hard for me to. I'd rather just play the game if there's no incentive for me. Like I'll just post something when I want to, because I'm not chasing the
Yep.
algorithm. Once the algorithm picks back up, maybe I'll put more effort into it, because I've been 100% since day one. Like City Skylines. I've had thousands of hours in City Skylines. I will always play that
Mm.
game, whether I make content about it or
Yep.
not. When City Skylines 2 came out, I see an opportunity to make a YouTube channel around that, and hopefully it become successful. Success means
Mm.
money and monetization. Not that it's the end all be all. I will constantly make content, and whenever I want to, I will post it on this channel, just like I'm doing now. But it's if I'm not chasing that dragon, then there's no reason for me to put full steam ahead. Now, if I catch something, then I will do it again. I'm not going to abandon the post, so to speak. I mean, it's not like it's that serious.
Yeah.
I love City Skylines. I'm always going to play it, and sometimes I'm going to record footage, and I have a reason to upload it now. So there's always going to be content coming from me. But it's like, man,
Mm.
like dopamine and serotonin levels are like linked to like
Oh,
it's rough, dude. Like, and especially you with like you know how it is because people don't know about other channels, so they don't understand. Like when you have like I have a channel, a video with a million views, so people don't understand that how that high that you're on, you know what I mean? And then if it drops suddenly, it's like in panic mode.
yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Well, I learned quite. I've only been doing this for a year. People may not have known. I have not been doing any content creation. 14th of November is actually the day I opened my YouTube, and then a month later my TikTok. Before that, I had never had an account for either of these.
Oh wow.
Um,
So did you set up with a
yeah,
plan,
and
or you just like?
well, I was playing City Skylines, and I just started talking to Cities by Diana and Drake Drakkart and a few other content creators. And I said, I don't know, just got into let's just upload something, put something up. And I was on a chat with Diana, Cities by Diana, and Drakkart about helping me fix my thumbnails and my titles and getting it all spick and span.
Mm-hmm.
And I just fell in love with talking about it. That I just kept putting more and more out. And then I realized I'm a short form content creator. I prefer it to be short because of ADHD and all that sort of stuff. So I
Mm-hmm.
went down to the TikTok avenue, making 1 minute videos. And the dopamine hit that they gave me in the first month or two was not right. I don't know if it was planned or if it was built into their algorithm to do it to you. To have a video receive 1 million views in 1 hour. 1 hour. This was a
One
Notre Dame
hour.
one. 1 hour ended up being 3.4 total million views, but in 1 hour with 70,000 reposts and 5,000 comments, I
Oh, it's
had to
got to be
turn
set up
off
that
my
way. It's got to be.
yeah, I had to turn off my phone, get family support, and go outside and touch grass. It was that bad because there weren't negative comments, but I was under the belief that if someone has is so nice to comment to you, they deserve a comment back. How do you do that when you're
Yeah.
receiving 6,000 comments a day?
Yeah, you don't. You pin a message saying, I'll try to
You
get
can't, you
there. I'll
can't,
try
and
to get to you.
yeah, that's right. And
But I love you and
yeah,
appreciate
and
you.
I
Just
just felt
know.
so,
Yeah.
exactly, and I felt so bad that I couldn't respond to everyone that I had to come up with just change my belief system that sorry, most of you will not get a response because it's not physically possible as a human to do so.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
So the
It's
dopamine
insane.
hits are not good.
Yeah, man. I
Yeah.
feel yeah. It's. See, that's the thing is like I've had several a couple failed channels, and hopefully this is a failed channel. I'm gonna keep putting work into it, but I've had a couple successful channels too. So that's made me a lot of money. That political channel I would talk to you before we start recording,
Yeah.
dude. And it's like it's hard to express just how like when you get millions and millions of views and thousands of dollars, and you feel like all this effort I put into this craft, this this art that I'm making is worthwhile, and then if it drops out of nowhere, which I've experienced over a couple of channels, which I've gone through the waves. I know how to write it now. It's like I just it's easier for me to detach now. But when I first started, dude, like I was in a deep depression when my first before the political channel and my gaming channel
Mhm.
it failed. And it fell due to the unsuccess of the game. And I'm always honest. And so I just told people like, hey, this game is not what it's supposed to be. Like, again, from like Planet Coaster Frontier, they made Jurassic World Evolution, and that game flopped so hard. Eventually, the second game came out, and my counterpart has 100,000 subscribers now, and he's still making that dinosaur content, which is cool. And
Yep.
we're still friends, and I'm happy for him. I'm like, well, that could have been me, but at the same time, it's like I'm not willing to. No, I could say that I don't care if I'm blacklisted from Frontier. I don't care. Like I made a whole expose, like a what do you call it? Like a video, like a I don't know, like a documentary, I guess, like of why that game is just horrible. And I think it's like 10,000 views, something like that. 10
Mm.
yeah 10K, something like that. Yeah, and
Yep.
and so that put a dent into him. On there already people was like upset because again it's Jurassic Park and they didn't have like the mosasaur, which is one of the most basic Jurassic World dinosaurs out there. So it's
Oh,
like
yeah.
there's a lot of weird stuff, man, and that I want to go into. But the game ended up flopping, and I moved on. And of course, everybody's dinosaur stuff, so they didn't care about Red Dead Redemption. They didn't care about any other games I like. They wanted dinosaur content,
Mm.
and so the channel died, and that was fine. I was okay with that. It's just my brain wasn't ready to not, you know, go to the bank every month and get that money,
Yeah.
or like just to have that extra, or just to go back and respond to fans because there are none, or not that there are none. Like I still have plenty of people who still follow me to every single channel, like diehard people, and I also still have people on that channel that I'll post a video today, and I'll probably have a couple hundred people who's like, hey man, there's always those diehard people, but
Yep.
the algorithm is different. It'll give you a bunch of people, and some of these people will watch you for a while, and then they just won't, and they just won't watch you for a while because the algorithm's not suggesting you to you, even if you're subscribed or whatever. And that's just how it is.
Yeah.
People aren't navigating to you themselves half the time. And whenever you kill
Yep.
your channel off like I did, because I didn't, the game wasn't what it was, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend like shut my mouth because when the second game comes out, maybe it'll be better, and I'll be up there with the big dogs, and I'll be making all this money, blah blah. Like it's like I'd rather at the end of the day say I stuck to my morals instead of chasing that money and shutting up and not telling people like it was. And the response on those videos are overwhelmingly positive because everybody felt that way. And I was the only one to speak out, and I wear that like a badge of honor. I would throw away hundreds of thousands of dollars just to stand up for my own viewpoint, even if somebody else might think it's wrong. Whatever, that's fine. But you gotta give me credit for at least adhering to what I believe, even if you might think that's
Yeah.
wrong. So, and then I know how it feels, and it's a hard thing to grasp if you're just a casual viewer watching content. It's I don't know. I don't even know if there's got to be some sort of like psychology into it. I don't think it's studied though. Like like there's a lot
Probably
of
not. I can tell you.
go
Yeah,
for it,
I
go
can
for
tell
it.
you now that careers counselors will tell you not to do content creation because it's not sustainable, it's not predictable,
True.
and it's not known whether it will last due to AI. So yes, I've had plenty of careers counselors recently tell me no, stick with your urban planning idea, which is what I'm going to do. So it's important to anyone that's listening to this who's thinking they want to be a full-time content creator and they're young, still go to college, go to university, do all that, and if YouTube works out for you, cool. If it doesn't, you've got a degree to fall back on.
Yeah, that's one thing. That's one thing that I should preface, that is I'm doing content creation now because I have lived a whole life before the internet. I'm a master butcher. I'm an author. I have a variety of income streams. You know what I mean? I'm a behavioral support therapist. Like I have accolades and degrees under my belt, guys. So it's like when I'm doing content creation, I have money to fall back on. If somebody's doing like if do content creation, if it's popping off, do it and milk that cow for as long as you possibly can. If you have something in the background to fall back on, you know what I mean. And if
Yeah.
you're gonna milk the cow and put the money in the bank. Don't blow it, at least. And that way, whenever it
Yeah.
does fall, you have something to fall back on.
Well, the thing I like about content creation monetization is it's coming from rich capitalist corporate companies like Google and ByteDance, TikTok. So it's not coming from the viewer. I would have huge issues if it was the viewer paying for your content. Um,
Yeah.
because
Well, I mean, that's just like
it's
how
just
YouTube
it's not
Red
right.
was, like a subscription base, and everybody gets a cut, and then that would be
Yeah,
different. But that had to be like it had to be a voluntary subscription thing too. So, and then you have less viewers. So it's like you know, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And
Because I
so
would hate to see YouTube become pay TV or whatever it's called, cable.
yeah, 100%, 100%. Well, they have the YouTube TV. They try to do that. They've made it like that, but people have kind of like rejected it. Like
Yeah.
they've forced like CNN and all these people into the algorithm. Like before, it was like a lot of like independent YouTube news people. You know what I mean? And now like you look
Mm.
up news, it's all CNN. But 4 or 5 years ago, you'd see a myriad of different people from whatever side of political spectrum, but it'd be all independent people, making their own stuff,
Yeah.
carving their own way. Now, if you didn't make that window back then, it's hard. It's very hard to get a political channel off the ground now. That's just in the political sphere. I can only imagine. I mean, I'm
Mm.
sure it's probably easier for cookie cutter channels like Dave's gardening channel or whatever, something like that. So, but as far as like things where there could be any sort of controversy, where advertisers could be potentially, it's I don't know. It's such a shady area, but at the same time, it's like you don't want people to have to, pay for that. It's like, so it's like,
Yeah.
where do you draw the line? It's like, I'm a free speech absolutist. Either it's all okay or none of it's okay. I mean, beyond like, screaming fire in a crowded theater, the obvious type of stuff, but either it's all okay or none of it's okay. But the thing is, it's like when money's involved in perception, I don't know, man. Corporations are just so greedy. It's like if they think if they think public perception is like, for example, Call of Duty, like I like to play Call of Duty, CS:GO, stuff like that sometimes in my off time.
Yeah.
And they just have this whole like left leaning style mentality, and it's like, like I'm a person who I always considered myself to be on the left, and then out of nowhere I found myself on the right, but I never moved. Like the political spectrum shifted. My beliefs stayed the same. So it's like it's weird that that's kind of how it played out, and it's like I don't know. The whole thing is just weird, man.
I don't even think about politics too much. I make some political videos, especially on Australian things, but I threw a curveball when I made. So in Australia, we had a vote for the referendum for yes or no to Indigenous rights in the Constitution or something. So I made a video saying, made one video, and people came back and said, I don't actually know if you're telling me to vote yes or no. And I replied back, well, I did my job correctly then, to make you think, not for me to tell you which way you should vote.
100%.
So I think that's the best type of political channel that you could possibly make, or political video, is to put the information out there. I did it in a funny way, and let them make their own decision whether they're left or right. Because I don't want to get involved and tell people you should be this or that. It's just, everyone has their own right to choose what they want.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I value though is if somebody does give their opinion, at least just acknowledge that this is your opinion. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people will tell you like this is exactly how it is, and they try to. It's almost like their own version of their own propaganda. They want you to believe exactly the way they want you to believe. And it's like it doesn't work that way. Like if you're not encouraging people to think for themselves and be their own person, then there's something off with you and what your intentions are. You know what I mean? Like if I mean, if everybody's not okay with not everybody has to like what anybody has to say, but you still should respect that right. Like you could say some of the worst things ever, but I would still fight to the death to defend your right to say it, even if I disagree. You know what I mean? Even if I think it's appalling what you said, you should never ever say that.
It's glad.
You know what I mean?
It's glad that you have that in your American Constitution, because we certainly don't have it in Australia. You are not allowed to just say what you want.
Did you hear about the because I was in a lot of political bullcrap back in the day. Back in the Hong Kong riots, when they were trying to take a lot of their freedoms away in Hong Kong, which was given to them by the British. And it was just a couple years back, and they had all these, like, all the students and a bunch of young people were out there like fighting with their brothers. They're not allowed to have weapons and stuff like that, and the Chinese government was just beating them and abducting people. There were so many retired and former ex-Marines and people like that who just flew to Hong Kong to help fight. Just for that reason right there is they believe so wholeheartedly in that, like, you're allowed to do what you are allowed to do. Your God, it's not really God given, right? Because I mean, I'm more agnostic than anything. So, but it's still the same thing. It's unalienable. It's your life right. It's your God's gift, or wherever you want to call it. It's your inherent right to live happily and be able to defend yourself and be able to protect your own, but also not be impeded upon, but also do your civic duty as well, be a contributing member of society. It's like, it's as long as nobody should ever tell you how to think or feel, and if so, you should fight back. You should fight for yourself. You know what I mean? You should. And the fact that it's kind of crazy. Like, there's Americans fighting in Ukraine right now just because it's like, that's a little less black and white. But let's just stay with the Hong Kong analogy. It's like they just went over there like, how can we help you? We'll set up sleeper cells. We'll make sure that they leave you guys alone. We'll be here for the long haul. Like, they just volunteered their services for no reason.
Haven't heard
No, it's
haven't
crazy.
heard too much about the Hong Kong situation lately, have we? It's been
No,
like petered. It's been out of the news because of all the other world events going on. Have no clue what's going on there.
I
I
think they just
think
kind of let it
maybe
slide. Like they transitioned to Taiwan a lot, and then they just took the rights away, and then just stopped beating the protesters. The protesters just went home eventually. They have to go back to their life, you know.
yeah,
Yeah, just waited them
yeah,
out.
got it.
Yeah, it's kind of sad,
Yeah,
really.
yep,
It was kind
yeah.
of like it's
Anyway,
like a quiet whimper of a death, you know.
mm,
Yeah, it's sad.
yeah.
But I mean, people
How
thought
many
this would be
hours
like
are
a
you?
like people thought this would be like a full revolution or something, you know.
Yeah, I thought so too. Thought it was going to be, but yeah, it didn't end up happening. I was going to ask you, how many hours you got on City Skylines 2
Oh,
so
bro.
far? Have you had a look on Steam? I just had a look then. I'm only at 34 hours, which is
Oh,
shocking.
dude, my mouse is kind of messing up here. It's getting a little jittery.
Whereas my City Skylines 1 is 3,600 hours.
Let me see here. Okay, the library.
This, I mean, it tells me I need to play it more just to fall in love with it because, playing some.
Okay,
Yeah,
total
yep.
15.5 hours.
Okay, yeah. Because I've seen people already at 100, 200 hours.
City Skylines 1, thousands,
Yeah, yep.
thousands.
I wonder if that counts the 30 minutes it takes to load a game in City
Oh my
Skylines 1.
gosh. Oh, dude, I swear to God. It like that was the worst that was the worst thing ever about Cities Skylines 1, but dude, when you stack it up pound for pound, it's like it's
Yeah,
still,
I
you
would
know.
I would set it to load, go out to Macca's with my friends, and come home, and it still wasn't loaded.
Oh my God. Wow. I mean, well, you have thousands of assets, thousands of mods. Jesus Christ.
22,000 assets because
Yeah.
every city that I build needs its own unique monuments and
Do
supermarkets
you have
and
a
all that sort of
process
stuff.
for like when assets or something like that get outdated or broken and then you load into the game and say, oh, this whole list of assets doesn't work? Do you have a process of finding where those are and like getting rid of them?
Yeah. Well, my first process is that I bash my keyboard up and go buy a new one. I think I'm on my third keyboard from having cities that have died. I think I even have a video of me taking my monitor outside and giving it a baseball bat. That's up on. I think that might be on TikTok after I lost a city that had 1,700 hours, and I tried for weeks to get it back, and it's something like it had 500 missing assets and
Oh my
missing mods,
God.
and it could have been worked on to get it back, but I just gave up on it, and I got really frustrated because it was the amazing city that I loved. But the process of going through my subscriptions is buy a new hard drive
Yeah.
because I can't go through it. I've seen the logs that it gives you of all your assets that come from Move It mod or whatever mod that gives you your asset list.
Hmm.
It's just too many. I just yeah, I just 22,000 assets.
You have 60 different types of chain link fences, you know?
Oh, I
Yeah,
do.
yeah.
I have like 8 different types of Tibetan flags.
And you only ever use like the first two or three, you know what I mean? It's like
That's right.
it's
Because
like oh my God. But they have the option though.
and it's because it's not. I don't. It's not so much the option. It's because the game takes so ridiculously long to load that if you forget an asset or it doesn't work, you've got to save the game, get out, find the asset, then spend another 30 minutes to an hour waiting for it to load. I'd
Mhm.
rather just go through and subscribe to everything and then go in and play the game.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
like I've got Wookiees walking around my cities. Like Norway, Oslo went off at me because I put Pokemon Lucarios riding bicycles around their city. Like they loved it. They thought it was awesome.
Yeah. Dude. It's like, that's one thing that could be a good outcome from Paradox mods. If even if they're taking it from Steam, if they can recreate something that's very similar and familiar like Steam, and of course like no microtransactions, if they can pull that off and not try to milk money out of something that's not completely optional, you know what I mean? Um,
Yeah.
if all that happens and they give us like a nice easy system like this asset right here will work for the rest of the game 100% guaranteed. This is our baseline. If you can't make a asset to this baseline, then you're just not making it. It
Mm.
won't be uploaded.
If if they don't allow branded and copyright assets on their Paradox mods, they're going to lose a fair
Like
share of
McDonald's and stuff
players.
like that. Yeah, man.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
McDonald's, like people love that. I mean, I will still play it and still make cities and that, but you won't be able to make a realistic city if that's what you want to do because you need the McDonald's.
Yeah.
You need, and the game doesn't even have different types of citizens wearing branded clothing, which I still am surprised has not been made by an asset maker. I've no one wearing Adidas clothing or Nike clothing. Yeah, just
And
don't
see,
see
and
it.
that's the problem of whenever if they make it like a barrier to entry for all these modders and they all have to sign these agreements. If something like that, if they're going to be Paradox and be hyper cautious of all this different copyright infringement stuff like that, and not just allow it to be like, look, this is just a platform. We don't make people like they can upload whatever they want. That's on them. You like if you have to sue them, you can't sue us. But if they make it to where
Yeah.
everybody has to sign up to be a Paradox modder, you know what I mean, to make stuff for their
Mm.
website, which is a possibility for them to do, since they're cornering their own market share, then that would be it. We would have nothing like that ever for City
Yeah.
Skylines
Like
ever.
they have promised that there'll be branded content, but who knows what legalities will come out of it? Because I'm trying to think back to the Sims shops, whether they have branded content for their game, but I
Yeah, but it's
can't
like a
remember if they
It wasn't
do.
like a sponsored though, like it wasn't like a sponsored
Yeah,
partnership type thing too, which is like just scummy because then you're not going to get everything. What if you want a Subway? Oh, well, we're not doing we're not partnered with Subway. I mean, I can see it right now, like on the Steam
yeah.
Workshop. Guess what? We're releasing the McDonald's pack. Okay, hey, can we get a Burger
Mm,
King? No, we're not partnered with Burger King right now, so we don't get. It's like, man,
yeah. I don't want that.
that's what I'm saying, dude. It needs to be an
Um,
open market. It just needs to be an open market because if
yeah,
it's,
and if it
yeah, dude, I'm getting depressed.
and if it doesn't, I'm sure someone will make those assets somewhere else as long as Paradox don't put code in or firewalls or things that block external assets and mods from being put in the game that don't come from Paradox mods. So someone will make something,
Yeah, I mean,
we hope.
it's just, but the fact that they even have this conversation, we're all, kind of curious about what's going to be the end result and how it's all going to turn out, and then at the same time they're saying they being open and honest and transparent. It's like, well, not like
Yeah,
that's something you could be really more transparent about. I would really appreciate that. Put your money where your mouth is. Don't just say that. It's
yeah,
easy to type it up from your community manager post.
yep,
It's colossal order. It's a lot harder to actually hold true to those words, and that means keeping us in a loop. Like a lot of small indie game developers, like people who like do live streams of the game as they're building it and stuff like that, and then that game ends up
mm,
a lot of times mobile games and stuff like that. That's how they sell their own mobile games. Like those people make a crap, not as much as like some like a huge publisher, but the love and the attention there is there, and it's like you're going to get quality because you're watching it be built, and
mm,
if it's not ready yet, you're going to know it's not ready because you're watching it being built, so you know what you're getting. You're
yeah.
not being fed something, like
I can tell the developers put love into this game. You can tell. You can really tell because I can't imagine that they were working sweatshop conditions to try and pump out something they didn't love. I can tell, and it's because, and they've fought hard about things that they wanted to keep in the game because they felt they were right. So, like your video that you made about don't hate on the developers from, the death threats they're getting. Because at the end of the day, they're just people that go home to a job, like go home to a family and a
oh,
life
100%,
outside
yeah.
of their job. It's a job to them. And I try to look at that at anyone else that has a job. It's just a job to them, like a lawyer, doctor. They still go home to be a normal person. So I do feel that they put everything into it, like a teacher does with their students. But there are issues with the game, and I would love to see who approved the citizens,
Oh my
like who
gosh,
thought,
man.
like
Oh
like
my gosh, dude.
what
Like
quality
the
control
problem
person
is
allowed those.
they're technically an indie developer who pumps out a AAA title, and
Yeah.
when you have a game that was as successful as City Skylines one, and you have to top it, and you're starting a game over from scratch, and and everybody has been used to almost a decade of having this level of detail and freedom, and now you don't have dedicated, ports really. I mean, you don't have dedicated actual industry. You have some stuff which is, better than what we got started with the city. Like, there's a lot of leaps and bounds that they've done that they've increased upon, but people are so I don't know how. I guess it's like spoiled because like we've had so much for so long in the form of mods and assets that's not necessarily a part of the vanilla game itself, that people
Yeah.
have trouble understanding that, like, well, the map size is larger than CS1. It's just not larger than 81 tiles. So it is larger.
Yep.
It's not larger. 81 tiles. Well, 81 tiles is not a part of the game. It's an accessory
Mm.
that you can get.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like I if like I don't know how, man, hey, your outfit looks really really cool, but I liked it yesterday because you had a hat on. Well, the outfit's
Mm.
still an outfit, you know what I mean? But you put a hat on, that's an accessory. It
Yeah.
doesn't,
Yeah. Yeah.
it doesn't make the outfit. The pants and the shirt make an outfit with shoes. Like that makes the
Yeah.
outfit.
And who knows? And who knows what modders will do, because you can build outside those tiles. You can build out the map. I think I've shown it in several videos where I've dropped buildings far off to the corner of the map, and they worked.
Oh wow.
You can't zone out there, but right on the edge of the map, I've dropped wind turbines out there. I've dropped hospitals out there. Um, it's clumsy and it's messy. You can't get roads out there though. But if you can plop a building out there, I'm sure modders can get out there and do other things when time comes.
Oh yeah, I'm sure there's all kinds of stuff that they can do, and like I said, they're still, there's like 30 developers, something like that. I think they've got a few
Yeah.
more over the last couple of years, but there's relatively a small group, but they're being portrayed like a AAA gaming company, which they kind of are now, and
Mm.
they just, it was just a launch in the marketing and everything. If they would just been like from the jump, like, first of all, don't do the Unreal Engine, trailer if it's not going to be made in Unreal Engine. That makes no sense.
Mm.
That was
Yeah.
really, that was
That felt
really, so there's a lot of
Oh, that felt
marketing
like getting
decisions.
cheated on.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. This is what you want to have, but this is what you're going to get. It's
Yeah.
like, it's,
Yeah, I know.
it's, so there's a lot of marketing, and if I feel like people can point like, oh, paradox, but all these agreements, people have to sign them. The president of Colossal Order
Mm.
has to sign with their parent partner. They have to agree upon these terms. You know what I mean? They can, like, Paradox to say, hey, this is what
Yeah.
we want to have, but Colossal Order say, we're not, we can't do that. You know what I mean? And Paradox say, okay, well then you're no longer a part of Paradox Interactive. Then Colossal Order say, okay, well then we'll do our own thing. We'll take our IP, make something else.
Yeah.
Like, it's so, like, they have the ability to make some, argument to their, so I think there's a few probably a key moments in their history of this game making that where things kind of spelled, like, tipped it in the favor that you couldn't see in the future, and like, oh, maybe we can make it, oh, we can't, oh shit, now we gotta be like, hey, sorry, but we're being transparent, but then also still not keep so much more in the dark. That all gives it the guise of just nasty, icky, like, it seems slimy, but we know for a fact that the developers themselves create this game out of love, because look at City Skylines
Yeah.
1, and we know that City Skylines 2 is going to go on for so long, and it's going to be so much better. It's just
Mm.
the way the marketing and how all the decisions came through at the launch is really what put a sour taste in people's mouths. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
there's no really better way
I,
to say that.
I really wonder if the developers at Colossal Order are worried that if they don't get the game to a good standard quickly, a new competitor is going to enter the market and steal their thunder. Because if I was a corporate business right now, like EA, I'd be like, hey, Colossal Order and Paradox just fucked up their
Oh
release.
yeah.
Let's jump on this. Let's jump on this and get one in development right now. One
Or
that improves upon everything that the fans are saying is wrong.
Sid Meier's Civilization. They can make a Sid Meier's
Yep.
city builder easy,
Yeah,
quick too.
that's
And
right.
it'd be probably pretty dope, I'd imagine. So
Yeah, so I wonder if they're sweating. I wonder if the developers are sweating to get it out as quickly as they can before they lose. Because I've been following the Steam statistics every day. Because Steam gives you the charts of how well the game's going, how many players are online, and City Skylines 1 on in a 24-hour period has about 11,000 people actively playing it on Steam, as opposed to City Skylines 2, which is between 30 and 40,000. And City Skylines 2 has only had 230,000 people follow City Skylines 2, which is not a lot, which is an
Yeah,
indication of people buying it. So that is a huge fall from 12 million sales only down to
right.
a quarter of a million sales.
And that the and a large majority of those people on City Skylines 2 are came over from Cities 1 anyway. So
Yeah.
so you got to think that on average it could be higher or lower, but 11,000 people playing City Skylines 1 are actively choosing to not buy or not play City Skylines 2.
Yeah, that's right. And the no console thing is a huge problem too, because that's a large percentage of their market. They need to get that ASAP.
Yeah, and it's great. Like if you look at like Call of Duty for example, like they have like Call of Duty like every year, but you can like watch the numbers jump from like they still keep like a few quite a few thousand on Modern Warfare 1 and then Vanguard and so on and so forth because they have multiplayer
Mhm.
functionality and all that. But you could watch the jump from year to year and like millions of people go from one to the next, one to the next, one to the next,
Yep.
and so and if yours is like, well, we left half behind and we kept half. It's like
Mm.
well,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
So I just pulled it up now. So as of the 11th of the 11th of November, there's only 21,000 people playing City Skylines 2 right now. On the day it launched, they had 104,000 people playing it on that day. So that's a huge drop
Oh yeah.
in players
What
playing right now. It's
60%,
currently
65% loss.
Yeah, they're currently sitting at number 17 on the Steam sales top sellers list.
And
It
because
was number one on the day it came out, but yeah,
it's like 94% of Steam players don't meet the requirements for. Let's see, I can't remember the exact statistic, but I used it in one of my videos. A guy gave me permission to use a clip of his because he did a little bit of research, and it was just easy for me to take that clip. I'll be honest with you, um,
mm,
and he agreed to let me. He's a cool dude, so no big deal. But it was like it was high. It was a very high number, like so like a like 90 some odd percent of people don't have a computer that meets the recommended requirements of City Skylines to the changed recommended requirements, which
yep,
is insane. So how many of those people would love to actually be trying to play the game, but they just can't? And it's
yeah,
like wow, they at least should have
yep,
brought maybe another studio from underneath Paradox to maybe help with optimization because City Skylines is one of their
yep.
flagship games. Like
That's
Rockstar all
right.
the time has so many different studios working on different like their flagship game. At any given moment,
Mhm.
on top of their own title that studio is working on too. It's like, hey, we need your help on this because we're getting this studio's falling behind on here, so we get this game is very important, and it's like City Skylines is one of their
Yep.
flagship games. That if they didn't treat it as such, then of course we never will. We're not a fly on the wall, so we don't know. It's all speculation, but something went wrong somewhere. It's
Yeah.
like
Yep.
so that's obvious. But yeah, man,
My
it's crazy.
my desktop is above the recommended requirements, and when I got my city, I spammed the city with over. I filled the map. I bought all the tiles, and I filled the map with a building with buildings on every tiles. That there's probably about maybe 300,000 buildings put on the map. Population remained low because they couldn't fill the buildings in time, but my FPS went from 60, 70 all the way down to 12.
Oh my
So
god.
there is going to be a massive issue on very large cities. So, and my GPU is like AMD Radeon RX 67050 XT 12 gig, so it's slightly above the the recommended, not the required. So,
I have like a
yeah, they need to fit.
Radeon RX 750, and so it's old, um, but
Yeah.
it runs Starfield, so you know
Oh wow, that's surprising.
not on ultra settings, mind you, but it'll run it
Yep.
at like 60 frames on average, which is not bad.
Mm,
It's not bad for a graphics card that old to run Starfield. That's not bad. But on City
yeah.
Skylines, like my average, I think is like 23 or 30 frames per second, which is I thought it was
Yeah.
gonna be a lot worse. I'll be honest with you. I really did thought I thought it was gonna be a lot worse. But thankfully it
Yeah.
wasn't. But still, like I'm used to that City Skylines one when I have a quarter of the map just propped up to the gills with all kinds of props and everything's crazy,
Yep.
it's highly detailed, so
I'll give you a little tip for City Skylines 1 FPS boosting. If your game starts to really slow down, even at whatever size city, disable all the traffic in TMPE so it removes it all and your game goes back to normal FPS and allows the traffic to come back in again. So just I do that like every 30 minutes in the game, just spawn all the traffic and the game goes back to normal. So for some reason that fixes the FPS.
oh, okay, okay. Yeah, I mean, right now my stuff is running pretty okay. I just got my stuff set to medium, and I've turned off like motion blur and all that kind of stuff just to help out with the frames. And yes, it's around 30, so it's playable, but the graphic quality isn't. It's just it's just hard.
Yeah, what's
It's
going on with the trees? The trees just look unrealistic in the distance. Look like they're cartoon watercolors.
Yeah, yeah, and like sometimes the buildings they have like this weird. I don't know if it's anti-aliasing or what or something, but it's
Mm.
like like the edges of buildings and stuff seem like there's like it's just white, like you almost see through them, like it's all like glitchy and shiny and clippy. And then
Yeah,
sometimes, not all the time, but just sometimes, it's weird. I've tried to mess
yeah.
with settings and stuff, but every once in a while it just happens, and I don't know how to stop it. You know.
Yeah, there are some positives about City Skylines too. I know I said it sucked at the beginning, but it loads within 10 seconds, so that's one positive.
Yeah.
It does feel fresher than City Skylines 1. Like it actually does feel like it's trying to be a next generation game.
Yeah, it
It's
feels
just not
crisp.
there.
Yeah, it feels crisp.
It does compared to the first one.
But
Um,
if they would just would have had like a generic like I don't know how to say it, like 'cause like a lot of the buildings are just like they look pristine, like as if they was built right then,
mm,
and they look like that
yeah.
forever. If they would like over time just get like a little weathered and like darker
Mm,
and grungier and stuff like in the sidewalks kind of maybe caught clutter. So like if they just would have went to that
yeah.
extra mile to add that, maybe it'll come down the road. But if it would have started that way, people would have been a little bit more impressed. I think for sure.
Mm. We're
Great.
giving a lot more data, which is good. So all the tabs and the way that transport works, the bus lines is heaps better. It's easier to
Yeah.
use, and you can see the buses moving on the map, like all the transport on the one map.
And the
So there
traffic,
are a
the
lot of,
traffic is infinitely better.
oh, of course, the whole one lane issue is gone. Like, well, not totally gone, but it's gone enough that it doesn't ruin your videos or ruin your gameplay. So there are lots of positive things for it, but they miss the vital things of a game release, which is optimization, performance, and giving you enough to do in the game. It's just
Props,
it's
yeah,
lacking
props. No props.
yeah,
No, I can't even place a
yeah,
bench. I
and
can't place a trash can. I can't place nothing, dude.
not even developer mode. Well, technically, we shouldn't count developer mode. We're not meant
That's
to
what I'm
have it.
saying. That's what I'm
It's just
saying. Yeah.
yeah,
I should just be able to
yeah,
I should just be able to hop in the game and at least put it down a rock. Like
yeah,
what? Like what? What are we
yes.
doing? What are we
I'll,
doing here?
I'll, I want to buy lunch to the person who figured out developer tools and announced it to the world, forcing Colossal Order to then kind of condone it after, especially after a few big YouTubers probably asked, is this okay to use? Because I can't imagine the big YouTubers would have started making videos about something that Colossal Order haven't condoned,
Yeah,
and
I don't
then
know.
Colossal Order came out and condoned it.
I think it was. I
Yeah,
think it was it Teddy Radko? Might have been Teddy Radko. Who?
yeah, but it came from a Reddit, so someone figured
Oh,
it out. Teddy
oh,
Radko was brave enough to put a video about it, and kudos to him because without that video, I would not have known. But yeah, developer tools has saved City Skylines for so many players who play detailed or play realistically. Yeah, without that, I reckon they would have lost a lot more sales or people not playing.
yeah. So I haven't done a lot of research. How does developer mode work? Do you just like can you do it like in game, like as you're playing, or do you
Yeah,
have to
you can do
like
it easily.
go ahead?
Yeah, in game. In game, you can change virtually anything in the game. You can make it go 12 days ahead, 12 hours behind, change the weather, change the seasons, change the time. You can put bypass validation, which means you can build outside the map. You can build outside purchase tiles. You can build a road through a building if you want to. So just like move it, it's like we've got move it by clicking one button.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So it's fantastic. Yeah, without that, you can decrease the graphics a lot more. So you can remove the hair from the Sims, giving you more extra FPS. You can remove not sure if you can remove their teeth. You can, heck, if you want more FPS, you can even remove their skin, so it's just clothes walking around.
Wow.
So
See, I've seen a few
there's a
videos, but I haven't really got into it, doing anything myself because again, you shouldn't have to. But
that's right. Yep.
but again, there is so much good stuff, but all the negative stuff with the marketing and all the little negative things in the
Mm.
game have completely overshadowed all the good stuff. And
Yeah.
you can't discount the negative stuff. You have to take the good with the bad. It just sucks that it's like on equal footing, as equally as good and as equally as bad. It's like, but a lot of bad stuff isn't necessarily the game itself. It's a lot of the stuff surrounding the game. You know what I mean? That's happened around the
Mm.
game. So a lot good things
Yeah,
that'll fade over time as long as the game gets better.
it's had one of the worst launches that I've seen for a game in a long time that I've followed. Like even things down to a radio song being removed because it was deemed offensive by a few snowflakes that wanted it gone, just like that. And then also having to fix the Sims, making sure they all wear pants. That was in the recent patch. It's just like, what do you like? Like, I feel
Oh
sorry for Colossal
man.
Order. I feel sorry for Colossal Order. It's just like they must go to work each day and think, what shit are we going to have to deal with today?
Yeah, dude. It's like, you know, man, but there's also like I don't know, it's hard to explain. It's endearing, but it's also like come on, what are we doing? You know what I mean? What's happening
Yeah, I
here?
know, I know, I know. I mean, I'm trying to give them some slack because I've bought games for $130 that have been way worse than this, or I played for 2 hours and thought, "Fuck, back to, you know,
Oh yeah, for
this is
sure.
going in the bin."
Oh yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
but it's only because this is a game that we've all spent thousands of hours in that it's treated differently than, say,
Right.
a cheap Borderlands game you play for a week.
Yeah, yeah. Are we uh, our conviction, our love for this game, our passion is all the criticism comes from the most loving of places deep down in our
Mm.
hearts. And
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes City Skylines, like sometimes Colossal Order, sometimes Paradox Day, sometimes they forget that we are that passionate. I feel like they
Mm.
know that, but sometimes they make just plain business decisions arbitrarily, like a business sociopath should. But
Yep.
there's a lot. It's not Call of Duty. It's not, you know what I mean. It's not over. It's
Yeah.
not, it's not the next. We're not getting another one next year. This is our baby too for
This
the
is
next decade. You know.
Yeah. Got two interesting things out of that. I was talking to some of my mates, friends, that, imagine if GTA 6 fuck up their release. Like, imagine if it's like this.
Oh my
Imagine
god.
their fan base. I mean, they've got like 50 million players or something. Imagine
Yeah.
them. There'll be riots. But
But they won't.
no, I was
Rockstar will
actually
pull all
saying
their studios, dude. Rockstar ain't fucking around.
that they'll do it. They'll do it right. But
Do you see?
imagine if
Have you
this
played Red
happens
Dead
to them.
Redemption?
Yeah, I love it. That's like the
Dude,
best game ever.
dude, it's such a good game. It is such a
Yeah, I
good
know.
game. Like dude,
I love.
I cry sometimes at how good that game is.
Yeah, I love it how you can push people into a bear pit.
Yeah, dude. Do you tie up people, feed them to
Um,
alligators?
Yeah, yeah. Tie them up
Yeah.
to the train tracks and see how many you can launch. It's like the like Goat Simulator mixed with Grand Theft Auto or something. Um, but no, I was also talking to someone recently that if this flops, we may see CS3 announced sooner than later, like maybe 2026. So we might not. If this like dies super hard, like SimCity, I heard has had like some of their sequels quicker than others because it flopped so hard. So they thought, well, let's go quickly with the next one.
You know, maybe, probably. I think maybe that's definitely a viable route. But also, like, if they just, I think what they're trying to set up is like, like how they kind of like, oh, you're going to get the season pass or whatever, wherever they
Yeah.
called it. It's like if they do it that way, then that's a way for them to get away from doing DLCs, and they can always like do a season like this is City Skylines 2, whatever season, and they can
Mm.
collaborate with somebody and like McDonald's or something like that, you know what I mean? And they can do like they can pump out seasons like once, like 2 or 3 times, 4 or 5 times a year, and you can get different packages of seasons and stuff. And you might have to pay for those packages, or you don't have, you just want to get those items. And so that I think that may be another route they could go. It's because either way, I mean, you're going to buy the DLCs anyway. If it comes just packaged in a different way, you're still going to buy it. Let's be honest. You know what I mean?
Of course. I mean, I've already bought everything there is with this game because I'm the biggest fanboy. As much as I bag the game out, I am one of its biggest fanboys.
Oh, 100%.
So,
And so
yeah.
anytime most people, as long as it ain't death threats, people just got to
Of course,
remember.
no, I'm never like that because I would not want that as a creator of this, and I want the game to succeed because if it succeeds, I succeed
Yeah, well,
making content.
nothing within the game sphere is worth death threats anyway. It's just
No,
that is such a
nothing is.
first world problem. Like, calm down. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, so
not even
as
in.
long as it's nothing like that, if you see anybody criticizing the game and you're a super diehard fan and you think this game has done no wrong, just remember that those people love that game probably more than you do, and that's the reason why they're criticizing it a lot of the times.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
exactly. Like
so
the game has probably cost me about $5,000 in DLC, computer upgrades, base
mm-hmm.
games, buying asset content creator packs. Like, yeah, I put a lot of money and time into this, so definitely a fanboy. And I am kind of glad that they put out 3 patches already in 2.5 weeks. So yeah, keep them coming every week, please, if they can.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Put on overdrive. Like, hire some more developers, guys. Like, you guys just got a
Yeah,
bankroll. Put that money to good use. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So, anyways, man, I think we're getting close to time. So, I guess we can
yep.
go ahead and wrap it up. So, you guys, look, check him out on TikTok. Check him out on YouTube. You know, hey, I'll be working on some content. I'm getting some stuff going, guys. I'm not gone. I promise you. The views are kind of slowed down,
Stick
but
with it.
so the content is slowed down, but it will be there. And when a video does pop, you know that it will reinvigorate me, and I'll be right back into the game. So, you got anything else you want to plug, man, before we hop out of here?
No, just don't watch my shit if you're a snowflake.
All right, you heard the man. So I love you guys, but until next time, you gotta piss off.
Yep.
Two to the one, from the one to the three. I like good pussy and I like good trees. Smoke so much weed you wouldn't believe, and I get more ass than a toilet seat. Three to the one, from the one to the three. I met a bad bitch last night in the D. Let me tell you how I made her leave with me. Conversation and Hennessy. I've been to the motherfucking mountaintop.